Hi there everyone, thanks for watching. Today I'm going to show you how to replace the snare strainer on a Ludwig Acrolite snare drum. This model I believe is a 1976 model Acrolite, and it comes with, I think that's been replaced because it's only got 2 holes on the P-85 strainer, if you can see that in the camera. Originally I think this model had 3 holes down there. So somewhere along this lifetime of this snare drum it's been replaced. But I hate the P-85. It's really sticky. You need two-handed operation to get the thing to engage properly, and it's just horrible. So that's going today, and I'm going to show you how to upgrade it to the P-86. So here's the package with the P-86 all the way from America. So let's get this open and have a look. Beautiful. Some paperwork in there. There you go. Genuine Ludwig accessories and our fantastic P-86 Millennium Snare strainer. That's great, that's what I want. I did pay quite a bit to get this out to me from Amazon, and the shipping and the exchange rate and goodness knows what cost me a fortune. But I would rather pay that and have this strainer than deal with the dreaded P-85. So with that in mind, let's start. So what you'll need some tools. I've just got some pliers over there, screwdriver. I've also got a bit key, which makes using my electric screwdriver here a lot easier to get the lugs off. So that's a handy little investment, so I recommend one of those. Look, this one's an Evans one. Doesn't matter, any brand will be fine, but they do help. So first thing you've got to do is take some tension off the snare wire. So loosen that up. And we've got to get this off. So this is a 20 strand Pure Sound custom that I put on this. So that'll be going back on. Well, here's the fun bit, dealing with the cord. Now, depending on how you've tied this originally will depend and determine how long it takes you to get it off and removed. Awesome. Okay. Okay, just out of interest, I replaced all of the washers with nylon washers on my tension rods. They cost me cents a pop, so you can pick these up pretty cheaply if you go to a nut and bolt place and just grab them. I just grabbed a whole pile of them. Alright, let's take the bottom hoop off, the skin off. I'm just running a Snare Side and Remo Ambassador, if you're wondering. It's pretty thin, very good. Standard fare. Let's move these tension rods out of the way. Alright, so this is inside the Acrolite. It's a very basic snare, but boy is it a popular thing, and it sounds fantastic. Every drum set player should have one in their arsenal. Just a fantastic piece of kit it is. Alrighty, now let's get this P-85 off and replaced with the P-86. So now that we've got the bottom off, let's get these off. So while I don't have exactly the right tool, this is going to work. So in here, don't know if you can see that there, we got a couple of bolts here which holds the P-85 on. You can see just there. We've got a Phillips head screw there, and I don't know if you can see that, but another one just there up the top. And inside, held on with some bolts. So let's get that out and replaced. So just loosening off those nuts. Man, are they on tight. There we go. Okay, we're off. There it is, the dreaded P-85. Some people love them, most loathe it. I'm in the latter category. It's horrible. It served its purpose for Ludwig for so many years, and they're actually still manufacturing these and putting them on modern drums, believe it or not. And some people have trouble-free operation with them, but you saw earlier how difficult mine was to engage. It was a two-handed job, it was clunky. I'm sure this mechanism here is probably worn and it's not helping the process, but for me, it's gone, it's had its day, and I am replacing it. Now, it's a pretty common upgrade to replace the P-85 strainer with the P-86. Many people do it, and I've seen them done on many Acrolites and other Ludwig drums, but I've actually never seen any video on how to do it, or just anyone showing basic process about how to go about it. So that's sort of partly the reason why I'm doing this video today. So there we go, there's the holes. So let's crack this open and get it done. So inside it's a Ziploc seal bag, and now we've got two short and two long bolts. Now I'm assuming they're for shell thickness, and because I'm running an Acrolite, it's extremely thin, millimeters thin. So I'm not going to need these long ones. Maybe if I was running some plywood or something like that on the snare, yeah, but it's not a wood snare, so I think we'll take those long ones out of the equation. Now, what have we got here? Interesting. I've got a couple of plastic / nylon washers there. I'm not sure what they are for. Might be to protect the shell on the outside. So I would say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they'll go there and then that will go onto the shell and it'll sort of protect the shell. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's what I'm going to use them for. Alright, now make sure you don't put it on upside down, which I nearly just did. So we're going to go like that, as you can see. Those holes should line up, I'm told, perfectly. And it does. I don't know if you can see in there, but see those holes there? If I put it in front of the camera, you will be able to. There they go, they line up perfectly. And those little black rubbers, washers, whatever they are, I'll put them there, so it'll protect the anodized aluminium shell. Alrighty, let's start. So they certainly do not push through those holes. You'll have to screw them through. And I'm just leaving a few mil. Put it down to the camera there. See where my finger is. There's the other one up the top there. Just enough to poke them through the shell. I'll screw that one through a bit more. Alright, I'm happy with that. So these two little guys that came in the packet, I'm just going to put them there. Just like that. And I'm going to grab the P-86 and make sure I put it on the right way, which is that way. So there is where the snare, wire, string, whatever you want to call it, will be fixed into place. So that's how I want to go, because the snare is going to go across the bottom of the resonant head like that. Alrighty, well, let's get this going. So I'm just going to line it up and start doing some screwing. Alright, slight problem already. Gotta line up that hole correctly. Come on. There we go. There we go. Alright, I'll bring it up to the camera in a sec. I'm just putting those on super tight. Not too tight, of course, I don't want to damage it. But that's on pretty tight. Now, if you can see in there, the screw sort of pops out a little bit. Come on, autofocus, work it out. And I'm looking at clearance just here, where the P-86, does it hit the bead or not? I'd have to say it doesn't, but it only clears it by not even a millimeter. Not even a millimeter. And if you're wondering for the top, there you go. Alrighty. It is, I'm told, I've never used one before, that the P-86 is a beautiful throw-off strainer to use. So, looks pretty good on the Acrolite already. So let's assemble it and get it all up and running. Okay, resonance back on. Make sure the bearing edge is good and smooth. Now there is a slight snare bed on these. It's very hard to tell, but if you put it on a flat granite bench or something like that, you'll definitely see it. Alrighty. That's where I want my logo to be. You can have yours wherever you like. And now don't make the rookie mistake of putting these somewhere where the snare can't go through. Don't worry, I've seen it done and I've done it. You probably have too. Alrighty, that's all in place. Grab our tension rods. Screw them into the lug slightly. Usually I'd put a bit of lithium grease or something on those, but for this demonstration, I'm just going to put them straight back in because I only just did this recently. So no need to do it again. And it wouldn't hurt to have a drum key. There you go, rookie mistake. Oops, the camera, not having a drum key while I'm trying to do this. Behold, drum key. Honestly, I just want to get those tension rods into the lug slowly. We'll get them right down, get that head sitting on the bearing edge and all that in a moment. Alright, that is all good for the moment. Yes, get it sorted out shortly. Right, let's get our Pure Sound custom snare wire back on. And because this P-85 strainer doesn't come with a good clamp there to clamp it down, I can't put anything on it, but what I had in the past on the snare wire was this snare wire string. And while some people really prefer that, I honestly prefer this. I just think it's easier, it's quicker. I don't have to bugger around with knots and whatnot. So that's my preference. I'm not saying one's better than the other, I'm just saying it's just my preference. Okay, so let's grab that one out of the packet. And there's another string that I didn't use. And there's the old snare wire that I took off. If you're interested, it's an old Rogers one. And I may have someone write in the comments that the Rogers is heaps better than the Pure Sound, you're an idiot. And that may be the case, but hey, what are you going to do about it? Alrighty, here we go. So I'm going to take that off. And I'm going to install the ribbon. And I've got to get it on this side as well. So let's do that. Ta-da! So easy. Alright, now let's get this threaded through and sorted. Now what we need to do is we need to open these up just ever so slightly so we can pop that through. So let's just loosen off the clamp on the P-86, which I said earlier my old P-85 doesn't have. Part of the reason why I'm replacing it. Okay, so we just thread that through there, just to sit it there for the moment. Turn it around to the butt plate. We do the same there. We loosen off the butt. Get that through. Alright, so now how do we seat this snare? So you line it up. Well, first things first. We come back to the snare, we've got to make sure it's disengaged, and we need to make sure that the P-86, its range here is sort of loose as possible, and then wind it back about a third. So some people say halfway. I'm going to put it down pretty good. Let's have a look here, because I haven't quite actually seen this strainer in action, so I'm just going to have a look at how it actually goes. So that's tightening it. Alright, so I'd say for me around there. If you're wondering what it looks like at the bottom, it's about how much of the thread I got sticking through. Look, just play around with it. I could be wrong here as well, and I may need to adjust it in a sec, but for this demonstration, let's just go with that, eh? Cheers. Alrighty. So once we got that there, we want to make sure that it's sitting even on the snare itself, on the snare drum itself. So you can see there's pretty much equal distance on each side. So that's where it's sitting, on the bearing edge, just off it by a few mil. And on the other side, the same. So center it and then start clamping it. So for me, let's close off the clamp on the P-86. Tighten it up. You don't want it pulling through when you're playing it. So now let's tighten up these tension rods and get the hoops seated and sitting properly. Okay. Alrighty. Loosen that off a bit. Okay. Now, just finger tighten all of them. Okay. They're all pretty much finger tightened now. So what I'll do is I'll grab some sticks. So what I like to do is put a stick there, bridge it between the hoop and hold the snare wire off the snare skin itself to avoid resonance while I'm trying to tune it up a bit. So with the Acros, it's a good idea to crank that resonant head pretty high, but again, it's personal preference. But from what I've read and what I've practiced and experimented with, crank the heck out of it and you'll get a good snare sound and you'll get a good resonance from the head as well. Like, hopefully you won't choke it too much by doing it, but I like a good ring. This drum does ring, and it's got the internal muff level. This one does. All Acros do actually, unless it's been removed. And I actually like a bit of ring in a drum. There's this, I don't know, it's like a crusade at the moment to avoid ringing in the drum at all costs. And I know that in a studio setting, yes, you want to try and avoid some of the ringing. But there's this real strange need to want to completely deaden the resonance of the drum, kill the natural tone, and just make it thuddy sounding. And that does have its place, I'll admit, but oh boy, do I like a nice sounding ringing drum. go around half a turn them all. Eight lugs is not pretty hard to get lost, but I invariably do. Ain't perfect, it never will be. No one can ever make it perfect, but for me, good enough. Alright. So now that we've got the resonant head reasonably sorted to where I want it to be, let's engage the P-86 and see how it goes. It's engaged pretty quickly because it's on fairly loose right now, because we wound that right down before. So let's crank it up a bit. Sorry, there you go. I will probably cut that, or fold that under there, or do something with that afterwards. For the moment, I'm just going to do that. Bear with me. Oh, that is so much better than the dreaded P-85. So much better. If you've got an Acro, or you're battling a Ludwig snare drum with this atrocity, the P-85, definitely upgrade it to the P-86. Lickety split. It is by far a beautiful piece of kit. Oh my goodness, that is so much better. I am going to slightly adjust this. I'm going to pull this through probably another few mil, and just to get that centered so I've got good range either way. I was off a little bit when I initially clamped it down, but you know, you experiment, you get it worked out, and you get the picture of what I'm trying to achieve. So let's screw that down a bit more, engage the snare. Not bad. Not bad. And I probably just blew the microphone out, but there you go, you get the picture. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching, and that is how you replace the P-85 Ludwig strainer to the P-86 Millennium snare strainer, according to that there, on a classic 1970s Acrolite snare drum. Now, this conversion can be done on any Acrolite snare drum from any era. There's no problem there whatsoever. It will just go right in. And there you go. Is it touching the bead? No, it's not. I can tell you it's about a hair's width in there, not touching that bead in there. That's a good thing, because I had read others saying that it does touch the bead, but I can assure you, I can see through there, there is light. So that's a good thing. And that mechanism is gorgeous to use. Very, very happy with that. So there you go, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you got any questions, pop them in the comments down there. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Bye.